Welcome to my kitchen, my good friends, but I'm not going to do any cooking today, at least not in the traditional sense. Actually, this small part of my kitchen looks organized and neat, but I assure you it's the only part in here that is. Well, I want you to picture this, if you would. Christmas, 1965. I was 10 years old and very enthusiastic preteen, and for months I pored over the Sears Christmas Wish Book. Now, how many of you remember that, the Christmas Wish Book that Sears put out? It was torture for a kid because it came out like it seemed like in August, and you had till August, September, October, November, December. 4 months to pour over that. And I showed Dad and Mom what I wanted, and then followed were weeks and weeks of torture as this hyperactive 10-year-old tried his best to be good. I suspect I failed once in a while. But anyways, what I wanted most was the Mattel Creeple Peeple set, which I'm showing you right here. It's not the same one. It is the same one, but not the one I got at Christmas. And when the wait was finally over and Christmas morning at long last arrived, I was not disappointed because amongst many other toys was my Creeple Peeple set. Now, my Creeple Peeple set went by the wayside somewhere along the ways. And last week, this was up at auction here in Saginaw, and they can go for $85, $90. I got this one for about $15, and so I saw it on there, and I had to put in a bid on it, and my bid won. These guys were so ultimately cool, and but let me continue here first, and we'll get back to this in just a minute, okay? Now, as I said, no, I didn't say. But recently, I've looked at several videos by please forgive me, but what I call the sissy generation, because these particular toy reviewers picked out what they thought were the most dangerous toys that a child could have in the 1960s. And in the top running for the title were several Mattel Thingmaker sets, because although this is Creeple Peeple, it's a Thingmaker set. And I eventually had most of them. And my favorites, though, were the Creeple Peeple, and then there was the Monster Maker. But anyways, they had the audacity to say that this was one of the most dangerous toys of the 1960s because it gets so hot, and obviously children are too stupid, maybe nowadays, to handle hot things responsibly. But these were awesome, and they helped kids learn creativity and safety. One toy reviewer I recently watched lamented how any parent could be so ignorant as to place these toys in the hands of innocent young children. They could do that because even though we were kids, we were trusted to know danger from safety. We were allowed to go out and be kids. Sometimes you learn by getting hurt, hopefully not seriously, but we didn't just sit in front of the TV and play video games like a lot of kids do today because we didn't have them. But you see, this is a set of molds, which a creative kid like myself, could make all sorts of goofy people pencils because the pieces you put on pencils. And the set included a sort of hot plate right here, and it did get very hot, and it baked the plastic goop that you would pour into the molds. And when it darkened all the way through to the center, you knew that your piece was done. And you put it in this little black tray you had there with water, and you had these tongs, and you'd place it in the cold water, and you could handle it then. So it was, you could get burned on it quite easily, but as popular as they were, I don't think too many kids really did. And I happened to make a little bit of extra change by selling these to fellow classmates. But as I said, it did get hot, and yes, I got burned. I got burned once, and that was all it took for me to learn to be safe when you're working with something very, very hot. My burn on a finger, it raised a blister, and it hurt like heck. But I managed to conceal it from my parents. But I'll tell you what, it never happened again. And so I had a veritable army of the Creeple Peeple. and they fought some really strange battles against my G.I. Joes that I had, because I had those too. I was somewhat of a spoiled kid, I'm told, but hey, I haven't been pampered in adult life, so yeah, I was spoiled. Now, here's the booklet that was enclosed, and this, of course, showed how to make the Creeple Peeple. What's really nice about this is it seems like instructions on so many things toys you get today have instructions in English, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, like many different languages. This one was just in good old English because people who came here either learned the language or couldn't read what we put out, because this is the United States and we're English speaking. A lot of people don't realize that when they come to our country anymore, I don't think. And there is a little Mattel guy, and as I said, it goes through and tells you how to make the Creeple Peeple, which looked something like this when completed. Now, I found it humorous. There are no cautions in this booklet at all for us kids or our parents. But there was a caution on the back to prevent surface damage. Let me say that again because that sounded not right. Caution: avoid prolonged contact of plastic goop and finished Creeple Peeple with lacquered surfaces to prevent surface damage. So it didn't matter if you burned your hand off. They didn't worry about it. But you sure needed to take care not to put it on lacquered furniture. And again, I think it's because at that time, we were trusted to know what was safe and not. Of course, there were those kids who, no matter what, they're a little bit, and they would get burned or something. But this was on the market for about 4 or 5 years, and very popular. So many different sets made. There was this one, and there was Thingmaker that did insects, and then there was the Fright Factory, which did shrunken heads and all kinds of cool stuff. There was even the psychedelic flower one that my parents got me. I wasn't really sure why they got me that one, but and incredible edibles, because you could get the plastic goop that you put in there that you could actually eat, and I had that, and I tell you what, they tasted like not very good. Not very good at all. But what I'd like to do is just tell you a few more facts about this, and then we'll move on into trying to see if we can make some Creeple Peeple. Now, back in the early 1990s, a new, safer Thingmaker Creeple Peeple was put on the market, and I bought one for my son Mikey. And in a way, it allowed me to have a little nostalgic fun myself. The shiny graphics on the box, on the original box, were colorful and eye-catching and easily caught my eye at 10 and a lot of other kids. And as I said, not many kids got hurt because the popularity of these machines, or these sets, didn't wane. For 3 to 4 years, they were very, very popular. Well, about the same time that these came out, Wishnick trolls were very popular. Do you remember the Wishnick trolls? You could get little ones with stiff colored hair for a nickel out of various vending machines in most stores. I remember getting them in the Yankee store on the Dixie Highway in Saginaw. The building's there, the store is long gone. But I had a lot of them. And I wonder if Mattel had those kind of in mind when they created the Creeple Peeple, because there were some similarities. Like the Peeple had the crazy hair like the trolls did, but it takes them to a rather unusual evolution. I hate that word, but anyways, it is what it is. What it is, what it is. So the 1960s were a swell time for toys, and I think one of the best times ever to grow up in. I had fun in the 60s. I was very much a bullied kid, but as I look back, it's the second greatest time of my life. Now, the greatest time of my life was 1971 through 83, when I lived in Escoto with my dad and mom. Anyways, don't want to get into all that right now. What I'm going to do, now I priced plastic goop. It came in little squeeze bottles, and they still make it. But online, on eBay for example, a single bottle of plastic goop, the cheapest I found was like $45 plus shipping. So obviously that's not going to be a thing that I'm going to be able to do. But I still would like to make some of these faces for some of my display projects, shadow boxes and such. So I have this white Model Magic Clay Crayola and it's air drying. And I got these, they're $1 package. I got these at Dollar General here in Saginaw, but I'm sure you can get them probably every place that Crayola is sold. And what I'm going to do is take and flatten out some of that, pull it off, and I'm going to press it. I'm only going to do one side at a time. When you were making it with the hoop, you had one of these that you laid across the mold, and it really what it did was save you some plastic hoop. So I'm going to take and press this into the mold, and hopefully be able to pull it back out. There you go. You know what? That's going to work. There's the little face. See him? And I can let that air dry, and then I can cut him out, and I can color him. Yes, that's going to work quite nice. So this was one of my very favorite toys when I was a kid. And as an adult, that's not real growing up, yes. I saw it for sale online, and I just had to have it back. And I'm happy to have it. So I thank you all for listening. Hopefully it jarred some of your memories. And if it did, please, 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 please be sure to share that with us here at the Dennis Morrison Channel and Charlie Cat Productions. All of your fellow subscribers like to hear from you, like to see your comments also. I want to ask you please to pray for fellow subscriber Tony Pike, who's going through some physical difficulties at this time, and he could use all of our uplifting and prayer. So, and I thank you for that. So, that's it. Hopefully I'll be back with you again real soon. God bless you. I love you all very much. You mean the world to me.